to your buddies. You look to your friends.
There's only a couple guys in the whole world that make me love pro wrestling, and you're one of them.
You know, all the bad shit you've heard about us, it's all true. But another thing that's true is we love professional wrestling, and that's why we're here. I'm not sports entertainment anymore.
Talk to him, kid.
This is a new beginning, and it starts tonight.
A new day is dawning for DX.
Yo, who you talking to?
Welcome to Xpac 12360, everyone. I'm your host, Sean Xpac Waltman, and I'm really excited about our guest today. He has a fight coming up this Saturday on Spike TV for Bellator. He's going to be fighting the axe murderer, Wanderlei Silva. That would be Chael Sonnen. And we're going to be talking to him a little bit later, but we're also going to talk a little bit about Money in the Bank, because that's a hot topic for discussion right now with the controversial finish of the women's Money in the Bank match and everything like that. But first, I'm just going to go around the room and say what's up to my man Jimbo on the couch.
What up, Sean? How you?
You know, man.
Living life?
Yep.
Another day?
This is second take on this opening, by the way. I can't lie.
Can never let stuff just be behind the
I know,
scenes.
I can't do it, man. I can't do it, you guys. So, okay, next to Jimbo, returning after last week, we have Denise Salcido. What's up, Denise?
Hey, you can make me laugh with that whole second take there. I was like, what's going on?
Hey,
Yeah.
we don't BS around here, man. I tell it like it is. And join us again on the end of the table here is one of my favorite people to have on the show. From Upbox with Spandex, my man Bill Handstock. What's up, Bill?
Wow, I can't. Wow, I'm blowing me away with that.
I'm just telling the truth, man.
Thanks so
Love
much,
having
man.
you on.
I'm thrilled to be here. I love it anytime you ask me to come on, and I'm always happy to be here. You can follow me on Twitter at Sundown Hotel, and I just want to give a shout out to Lulu on the floor, snoring it up once again.
Yes, she is.
Lulu.
She's awesome. And on your right is the lovely TK Trinidad.
Hey.
What's up?
I'm good. I know. How you doing?
I'm awesome.
That's gonna be
amazing.
so exciting.
Getting ready to go to England in the morning. Hopefully, we can get this one right, and I can actually make it there for the show. Going for Preston City Wrestling, and I gotta just say real quick, thank you to them, because when all that stuff went down with with the arrest and the big meth trafficking stuff and all that. A lot of people canceled on me, and I totally get it, and I understand. I don't blame them, but there are a few promoters that didn't. One of them was APW in San Francisco, and also PCW, Steve Flutter and PCW in England. And so I never forget that kind of thing. So I'm very grateful to these guys. We just figured that we'd get right into talking about Money in the Bank.
Yeah. You want to do the kickoff match?
Well, I mean, do you want to go through the whole thing, or just want to hit the
talk
highlights?
about
That's the ladders match.
What stuck out? What did you enjoy? I mean, I think overall as a pay-per-view, I expected more stuff with the ladders. That would be my big knock on the entire show. Is I wanted more ladder spots.
Okay.
I guess even in the women's match, like the simple Terry Funk helicopter with the ladder around the head taking everyone out, or sandwiching someone between the ladder. I thought for a Money in the Bank pay-per-view, the big spots that stuck out to me were AJ hanging off the briefcase, and then Kofi's trust fall dive, which wasn't even in the Money in the Bank match, and Charlotte's flip. But that wasn't even off a ladder; it was off the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
So.
The thing is here's what you have to be mindful of when you're doing these is, okay, Money in the Bank, it used to be just, at WrestleMania there was one Money in the Bank match. Now that's a pay-per-view and they have more than one, okay? You can't go out there in the first match and do all the good spots. You got to know your place on the card. So, I mean, as far as that goes, that's one reason why there probably wasn't some of the spots we would have hoped for early on. Because really, that was the first match, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the first match on the paper.
And it was the first women's Money in the Bank, so everyone was all eyes on that.
And from what I saw, it was a good match.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, what did you guys think?
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. Which we're going to talk about it in a second, but it's a bummer that they had that finish I think because of the fact that they had that finish and they knew that they had a chance to deflate the crowd and lose the crowd, they held back from the women's ladder match for that reason,
Yes.
and for also the reason you mentioned, you can't bring the crowd out in the first match, and you can't give away everything they're going to see in the main event in the first match too.
Yeah.
You gotta. So I think that they held all their cards close to their chest, and they said, this finish could really ruin people, like ruin the crowd, or for at least a part of the show. So we don't want to put everything in the kitchen sink out there if that finish has a potential to kill the whole crowd. Because it's like imagine if the TLC match at WrestleMania with the Hardys and Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
Imagine if that had as anticlimactic a finish.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be talking about the rest of the match.
Correct. But okay, so it just makes me wonder, like, if you know there's a risk of this thing killing the crowd, like, why do it? Right. Okay, let's just get right to it, Bill. Let's get right to it, you guys.
I like the finish.
You
I
did.
thought I did. I thought it was clever, and now everyone's
It's
talking about
it,
Carmella.
yeah.
Carmella went from being someone who is on the wayside of like,
Yeah.
well, she's just another girl kind of getting lost in the shuffle since she has been separated from Enzo and Cass. She's not doing what she did in NXT. That this put her top level. Now you're a certified bad person. you
Right.
know?
Okay. All right.
I think that I personally didn't like the finish just because it was the first women's Money in the Bank. And I know that right before this match, I was like, man, these women have so much pressure on them right now. And, you know, the match was okay for what it was, but I think that it could have been better. And, I mean, obviously, compared to the men's Money in the Bank, it was amazing. Like, I cannot praise that match enough. But for this one, I think that the finish was cool. It was different. It got people talking. But why do it in the first one where it could have been the second women's Money in the Bank, the third, the fourth, what have you, you know? So I think I would have liked it better had Ellsworth carried Carmella up to the top, because that would have gone with their gimmick, and it would have been like, yeah, okay, that's cool. I can see it. But I know what they were going for
I can
here.
see that
They
getting
wanted people
effed up
talking.
in
Yeah,
a hot
quickly.
second, too.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I wasn't really, I didn't feel the ending, but given the overall storyline and how they played it out in SmackDown, it makes sense. It's like the stuff that we, feel emotionally. There's, writers and everything. So I didn't like it, but it makes a lot of sense. And I'm actually more apt to like watch it the day of, see everything's going on SmackDown, how it all how it all plays out.
Yeah, I think that what happened on SmackDown was mostly damage control. From the sense I got of how it played out.
Yeah.
Especially after that amazing promo that Carmella cut to open up SmackDown. But so I understand the argument of, you got to do anything you can to get heat, especially because I've been feeling for months that Carmella's been killing it in the ring, been killing it on the mic, got a great act with Ellsworth and herself, but for whatever reason, the crowd just didn't give a crap about her, for whatever reason. And it was really frustrating to me as a fan and as someone who understands what wrestlers go through, that like, man, she's doing some of the best work of anyone on either roster, but the crowd just won't react to her. So
you can't take a wild guess. No, because I'm having a hard time.
Some people are blaming the anticlimactic, like the anti-pop of her theme, but I don't buy that. I think her theme's fine, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I think it's part what Daniel Bryan recently talked about this past week about how WWE superstars need a change in how they're presented, because people get to know these people and care about these people in NXT, and then they come up to the main roster and on TV they're treated as, well, you should already know their story. Yeah. So we're just going to show you matches of them. We don't need to show you vignettes. We don't need to show you backstage segments like the Roderick Strong thing, or the Chad Gable and Jason Jordan, how they got together for months in NXT. We just are supposed to accept it. But the vast majority of people who watch it on TV don't watch NXT. So they don't know these characters. So they're not going to react to Carmella when they don't know anything about who Carmella is.
I don't know. There's not enough time in the show to get in depth with it, but there's got to be a way,
right?
And like, hey, if you want to know more, like go on your phone and you know what I mean? Some kind of an interactive thing.
Yeah.
They used to do that picture-in-picture stuff, but it didn't get over quite as well as people had hoped.
Right.
Yeah,
I love that, though.
Yeah. No, I liked it too, but it also involved shilling the app in every segment. It's like, hey, you're missing action if you don't have the app, and then people are like, we don't want the app, and it just went on from there.
And the trouble with the second screen experience is most people's second screen experience, they're already having it. They're already on TweetDeck, or they're already on social media or whatever, already talking about it. They don't need another app to worry about.
And do you think those people actually do know the characters well? The ones that are doing the second screen and all that?
Half and half.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Maybe they could do almost like a breadcrumbing where, like, you have the person and you might do like a little snippet or a little vignette before they are about to perform, like they do in sports. Yeah. That is, now you're kind of doing the story bit by bit as time progresses. Yeah. So now you get
I know they do that on American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, right? But that's how you always use, like, no one would ever show up on, like, in the new generation or even in the Attitude Era. No one would ever just show up on TV
without 6 weeks of vignettes.
And then you get 6 weeks of miraculous vignettes, and then he shows up, and you're like, what the
Ric
hell?
Flair couldn't even take a break without getting 6 weeks of him in a retirement home.
I think I might have been the first guy back in that era that was introduced without vignettes.
That's what I'm saying, though, because, like, unless you're a person that has been a huge part of this other major TV show that just as many people are watching, that's coming over now, it's not going to work. Like, Maria Kanellis coming back works because it's like, oh, hey, we watched her in this company for 6 years. Mm-hmm. We know. See,
I was somewhere else when she was in WWE before. Mm-hmm. I don't know what year that was, or I mean, that's the
like
thing.
2002 to 2009. Or something
okay,
like
that explains it. That explains it.
But so I get the argument of, like, do anything a heel's got to do anything a heel can do to get heat.
Yes.
And it worked. And they got a huge reaction, and they got a huge reaction on SmackDown. People are reacting to Carmella now. Mm-hmm. I get that. So I understand that argument. However, every woman that I know who watches wrestling and every woman who I respect who saw this finish are upset about it. Yeah. And as someone who tries to be a good ally, I tend to try and listen to these women. So it's like, oh, if you're offended by how this played out, that's probably the right reaction.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think it's like a good... So you think that them being pissed is a good being pissed, or the wrong kind of heat?
The wrong kind of heat.
Okay, that's why I was confused on what you were saying there for a second.
Yeah, because like you were saying, like, they hyped this match. They sold this match as this is historic. Women are making history.
Yeah.
And then the finish of the match was a woman doing it.
I felt like they took a big giant crap on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And Jerry Lawler feels the same way. He went out today and he said he didn't like the way that.
And here's the thing, like, okay, we can blame anyone or, like, point fingers, but really, when it comes to these things, it's Vince McMahon. That's where the buck stops, because I mean, that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, I will almost guarantee you, I'd almost bet both my testicles that.
They're grapefruits?
Yeah, they're not grapefruits, trust me.
Clementines?
Yeah, no, a little smaller.
We're getting to know each other here.
Anyways, whatever. I lost train of thought on that one. Anyways, nobody wants to know how big my nuts are.
So you think Vince made the call for...
Of course he did. Yeah, of course he did. Nothing like this is...
Well, you can get Road Dogg back on the show again next week and find out.
Why do you think...
Well, I mean, he will tell you the same thing.
Why do you think Vince would make that call and not have the faith in the women to handle this all on their own?
Because that's what Vince thought was the right thing to do, from the way Vince looks at things.
And do you think he sees the reaction of Carmella trending on Twitter for 2 days and is like, see, I made the right call?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, don't you think also that Vince, the way that Vince looks at things, and I don't know him, but my question to you is, do you think that the way Vince looks at things is just, well, we'll get a reaction, what will get heat, and not, is this the politically correct thing to do, or is this responsible to do, or is this am I thinking about taking people's emotions into consideration?
I would have thought it was kind of funny just now when you mentioned Vince McMahon and political correctness in the same sentence. That was pretty good. Pretty good, Bill. Bill Handstock from Up Rocks with Spandex. By the way, I'm sorry I didn't give you an introduction earlier.
They got the lower third. It's fine.
Oh boy. So go ahead.
Do you think if Carmella were to win outright, there would still be like heat? Because when I think of that, when I think of all the other ladies, to me it's just like I wouldn't have pegged her getting the Money in the Bank.
Me neither. That was Charlotte all day long, as far as I was concerned.
Well, don't you think that there's a lot of ways that Carmella could have won that match by cheating that would have gotten her?
Yes. Yes, and it could have been involving Ellsworth, but him just not actually climbing the ladder and getting the damn briefcase.
Well, look at the first the women's championship match at WrestleMania 32 when Flair held Sasha's leg so she couldn't be a part of the finish.
And I like that. To me, I like that. You know, that I think that something like that would have been just fine, and we wouldn't be. Well, then again, we wouldn't be talking about it right now, would we?
I think when we get the rematch on next week, Ellsworth is gonna be on the controls for the briefcase and lower it down so that Carmella can get it. Something silly like that, where he's still involved, but he's not in the picture.
Hey, anything else on the show you guys want to talk about?
That main event, though, it was incredible. That moment between AJ and Shinsuke, like, I honestly, during that moment, I was like, this needs to be a WrestleMania main event, because this is just, I don't know how you guys felt, but the crowd was electric during this point. And just seeing them, there's no one else that could, between Shinsuke and AJ, that can go at each other at that speed and really stay up in that level. So having them both go together in that moment, I was just like thanking the Lords for that moment, honestly.
Yeah, it was a great moment.
I love the way it was shot. How you saw Shinsuke set up the ladder, and then when it went wide, and you saw AJ was there, and then they both pushed the ladder aside and went nose to nose.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It was
And
like, this is a movie.
And okay, so Baron Corbin.
Love Baron Corbin.
I do too. I'm high on Baron Corbin.
Love Baron Corbin. Don't think he needs the money in the big briefcase.
Neither do I.
I think he was going to be a main eventer on SmackDown by the end of the year, regardless of whether he won that match. I don't think he needs it, especially with a heel champ right now.
Right.
I know. Who knows how long Jinder is going to be the champ, but
Well, what do you think? Like, okay, not to jump around, but I will anyways. Him coming out during the title match.
Well, I thought
on
that
TV.
was. Wait, what
Corbin.
question?
Yeah, Baron Corbin.
I'm thinking of something else. Sorry.
He did it. Yeah, that was a little weird because considering the alignment of everyone. But he wasn't on the show otherwise, so it was a good spot to remind people that he has a thing. He's the Mr. Money in the Bank, and he wants to really take pleasure in the fact that he can play mind games with people. Because when his music hit, it got a huge reaction. So,
Yeah.
Good. Okay, going backwards again a little bit. Hey, we're talking about me here. So, I was. What do you think of how'd Lana do?
I thought she did fine.
I thought so too. I wasn't expecting. Here's the thing. You know, like I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but I don't think she should be wrestling at all. That's just my opinion, and she wants to. She did a lot better than I thought she was going to do. I don't know.
I think she did better than a lot of us might have expected her to. I mean, she pulled the basics down in the ring. She looked great. She's got charisma. She's got personality. So, I mean, I think if she continues to train and continues, we could see a little bit more out of her. And I think people are really behind her.
I thought it was weird that her entrance is probably the thing she's perfected the most and had the most practice on, and that when her entrance, like she's getting to the ring, they're like, let's cut to this video package of telling you the story of how it built up to this match, and it just cut back to her, and she's in the ring, and her gown's off. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I was
we
wondering
didn't get to see like her awesome dance or taking off her gown or anything.
Because that's what I thought when she was walking out. I was like, okay, I know she's not wrestling in this, so how? So I kind of saw like a little zipper, but the whole for the pay-per-view, and I know as far as women's concerned, there's not a big pool. It was underwhelming. And then the screams, it reminded me of Summer Rae, and I just feel like if you're gonna be a badass chick, then you just be a badass chick and beat the crap out of somebody, and then take that out.
The one thing that I will say about the matchup itself is that I don't think either one of them have enough experience to be working with each other on a pay-per-view.
Oh, okay. Like a veteran and a...
Yes.
I mean, Naomi's super athletic, but she
Yes,
still
but
doesn't
she's
have
still green.
to carry her. Yeah,
She's
exactly.
green as can be, and both of them are. And you can overproduce a match all you want, but once they get out there, it's on them. And so I mean that was noticeable to me. But like besides that, I thought she did a good job, but. It's just good isn't good enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think like we all said, she did better than I think most of us expected.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for Naomi that she's getting that that spot, that chance to be like carry this match. But like you said, maybe she's not quite to that spot yet.
She needs to be carried still, and nothing against her. That's just where she is still, and in her career. Yeah. So hopefully, no offense is taken.
I'll never say a crossword about Naomi, but I was happy for both of them that they got this spot. But it was what it was. I don't think anyone expected the world from it.
Yeah.
Is anybody excited to see it again next week?
I kind of think they should throw Lana in.
Well, no. This match there's a rematch of this exact one next week.
Yeah, I know they're doing the rematch, but I kind of I know there's storyline and all this other stuff, but I almost want to see Lana do the ladder match.
I agree with that too.
That would have been a good twist to it, but I know now Naomi doesn't have anybody to wrestle against.
I wish they would have just put her in the Money in the Bank match in the first place, so they would have had her during the build-up, because like of all the women that once they get the mic, there was too many women that can't rock the mic out there.
Sure.
So really it was Charlotte, and I don't know who else.
Becky did great.
And that was it. And that was it. Everyone else
waiting for their lines.
Yeah, please get cut the mic off. But
it's too bad that we know Lana so well at this point, and we know that she's a mastermind. As a character, as a person, because it would be pretty hilarious with this new dancing gimmick to have her be sort of like an oblivious. Doing her whole routine while everyone else has the Money in the Bank ladder match behind her,
Like the dance she did at her wedding, just while the match is going on.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
What okay, so what else is anything else?
Enzo and Cass split up on Raw.
Yeah, on Raw. Yeah, I watched it.
What did you think? Did you?
I would have done it differently. I thought it was a little bit drawn out. The segment, especially for a go home. Did you guys know it was coming?
Yeah. I had a feeling it was.
Suspicion. And okay, it was really weird because they bring all these suspects out, and then, all of a sudden they go to this video footage and they come back and they're all out of the ring. They're all gone. Big Show and who was the other suspect?
Revival.
Yeah. I don't understand what that was all about.
Well, Brandon Stroud pointed this out over on Up Rocks in his Best and Worst of Raw this week.
Yeah.
How bulletproof a turn would it have been for Cass to turn during their red hot intro that they do every week?
Yes.
Just you can't teach that. Have Cass boot him in the face during that. People would go lose their minds.
That would have been amazing.
Instead of having it be the end of a 20-minute main event segment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would have. I would have just done it differently. I like the concept of the surveillance footage, and
it was me all along.
Oh, you guys
brought
caught
back
me.
GTV.
But I just thought the execution could have been a lot better.
I thought it was weird that his promo went on so long, and Enzo was just staring at him, and then after Kaz beat Enzo up, Kurt Angle was just standing there the entire time.
Yeah, Kurt just standing there.
That's just weird.
Right.
But we gotta give Enzo credit where credit is deserved for that
single
tier. That tier, completely, just sold it to the next level for me.
I was probably real.
It was
yeah,
amazing.
You can't teach that.
I mean, it's probably, when you have okay, I'm going to tell you why I say that. When you are part of a package like that, Enzo and Cass, and then it's hugely popular, and you're making good money and all that, and then they go, hey, by the way, we're breaking you guys up. It's 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 catastrophic. You think, oh my God, end of the world. And what's going to happen to my money? What about my spot? There's a lot of things. So I can imagine, and Enzo being the smaller guy, and Cass being the 7 foot, 300 pound. You can't teach that. Whatever. He's probably thinking that he's the one that's going to get the push. So I can understand where Enzo might not be too happy right now about that whole, because what's going to happen to him? Are they going to have a feud? Are they going to have singles matches? I would hope they at least try to do that.
Yeah, they could lead it up all the way until SummerSlam, work it, kind of like a heartbreak kind of deal, and then hopefully have a match at SummerSlam, because I feel like they would have to do something with it. He just can't hit him at the boot and then that's it,
Yep. So, all right.
Yeah.
I want Enzo to be Kurt Angle's assistant for a while and build up his confidence till leading up to the match against Cass.
Cass is another guy like Baron Corbin. I think he's going to hold a world title by the end of the year, or next year at least. And I don't think Enzo's ever going to be at that level. But I wish that WWE wasn't so opposed to managers, because he'd be a Dynamite manager for anybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
He could be
My
great on
game
the
is crazy.
commentary team too. He would be awesome on commentary.
Hey, something I want to hit on real quick. Did you see they put Jinder in a match with Luke Harper? I don't like that. I don't like. I like what they're doing with Jinder, but okay, he's still kind of. There's still some things that we have to smoke and mirrors on with the work. It's just, I'm just being honest with you, and there's no reason. I just think it was a bad idea to put him in a match like that, especially like just the way they worked it. So I would have. Once he got to the end of it and everything, I think it all worked out good. But just like all leading up to it, I think it exposes things.
Especially right now, since they're trying to push Jinder, we don't want to see the stuff that he's not
That's
so
right.
great at, and this shined a light on it versus
Yeah.
we could have kind of been tricked.
Sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was better than the match that Harper and Rowan had at the last pay-per-view.
Oh, that was a tough spot too,
Yeah,
and they
it
were
was-
just doing like
Right.
just pro wrestling, like routine pro wrestling spot.
We're just
Banderas.
here to fill time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's just kind of a bummer, because Luke Harper is a dude who could be in that Jinder Mahal spot. He's gotten in amazing shape.
Yeah.
He's got so much ability and skill on the mic and the ring as a character with charisma.
But he's not like over enough as a baby face, and it's not his fault necessarily. I'm just
Right.
saying, for like, okay, there was just not that much heat during the match.
Sure. And this
Okay.
isn't going to do Luke Harper any favors. is what I'm
No,
saying. Yeah.
no, and it just okay.
When they said that, when like before they came back for the last segment, they're like coming up. I was like, that's the main event.
Right.
Ooh. I mean, it had a hot finish with the Singh brothers and
Yes.
Orton and everything else, but when they like say that that's going to be their last segment, you kind of go like, huh?
Oh yeah, and that reminds me, when we were watching Money in the Bank, and we were on getting at the end, getting towards the finish of Jinder and Orton. Conan tweeted, "Oh, let me guess, the Singh brothers are going to interfere, blah blah blah." And then I'm like, "Yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. I know it's And he's like, "Yeah, but it's so predictable." I'm like, "It's predictable to us, and because we know how to do it. That's how you get out of that." Sorry, we got to move on. Like, let's just get this over with. We know that works. Let's just stick with that, and on the next. So I agree with how they did that, and it worked.
Because it could also lead to like, oh, now we got to keep the Singh brothers away. How are we going to do that? Is this going to be like, what sort of match are we going to do so that we can get them out? And I feel like anytime we see the Singh brothers and Randy Orton, I'm just expecting that awesome spot where the Singh brothers just fly. And they did it both times, which was awesome.
I would do that every single match. That's just me.
Orton's just going to keep finding new ways to kill those poor kids. He, I don't think, the impression I get is that Randy's never been in a ring with somebody who weighs that little before, because he just tosses those dudes, and he's surprised. He's every time he picks him up, he's surprised.
Yeah.
He's like,
120.
Hey, also, I wanted to say that it was really cool to see Baron Von Raschke, Larry the Axe, Henny Greg Gagne. Who else was over there?
Flair, Slaughter.
Flair and Slaughter.
Harley
but we
Race
always
was supposed to be there.
Yeah,
but
but he
was
broke
sick.
both of his legs. Yeah, he fell and broke his legs.
At his house.
Yeah. So it was really cool to see those guys get a hell of a pop.
Especially Larry Hennig. He
Especially
got a huge one.
Baron Von Raschke, baby.
Yeah.
That was
The
awesome.
Claw Master.
Yeah, just
That's all the people need to know. That was
See,
his,
that-
that was his
that's-
catchphrase.
little stuff like that. I'm always really happy when WWE does, because St. Louis is such a wrestling town.
Yep.
And to be able to acknowledge that and not care about maybe the fans at home who are watching, because they're always very hesitant to talk about history. But I just liked that. It was a good touch.
I would have loved, because when he did the figure floor for Flair sitting out there, if he would have went over there and did everyone's finishing move, like the claw, the Cobra clutch, all that would have been great.
Hey guys, so just a friendly reminder to follow us on AfterBuzz TV, Twitter, The Real Xpac, IG, Xpac12360, Facebook, Xpac12360 Show, and buy all those pro wrestling tees at Sean Waltman. And also, iTunes. Leave comments, give us 5 stars. 5 stars or better. There's no more than 5 stars, so don't do any of that.
Unless you're Meltzer.
Yeah, there you go. And also leave all your comments on YouTube. Really appreciate it.
The Meltzer scale is more than 5 stars now?
Oh, you haven't heard that? You haven't heard about that?
What happened?
Oh, Wrestle Kingdom, he gave Omega Okada 6, and everyone lost their minds. And then at Dominion, like 2 weeks ago, they did a Broadway.
Yeah.
He gave it 6 1/4.
Ah, that's great. That's funny as hell to me.
Yeah, if you go to Pro Wrestling Tees and you're busy buying those Sean Waltman shirts, you can also check out Kenny Omega has a 6-star Match of the Year candidate machine shirt.
Nice.
Yeah.
I dig that.
He's the man.
Yeah.
He's the man.
I'm a Meltzer fan too.
Yeah, me too. It's his scale.
Yeah.
He invented it.
That's
he can
right.
make it go up to whatever he wants.
Yeah. And I love it when people are on him about, he only likes
Japan.
Or PWG or any of that stuff. Whatever. I'm a Meltzer fan.
Me too.
I like Dave.
Same here.
It was great to see him in San Francisco, by the way, at Cow Palace. My abs were way better than his, by the way. About as good as John Morrison's, way better than Dave's.
Yeah.
But he wasn't expecting an ab
He wasn't
off.
cutting.
Yeah.
He wasn't cutting weight.
Anyways. All right. Well, we're going to come back right after this with Chael Sonnen.
What's up, party people? Roxy Stryer here from The Tomorrow Show with Keven Undergaro. We're your twice-weekly broadcast of one man's midlife crisis and the mad millennials in Star Trek uniforms that follow him.
And I'm one of those millennials, Lauren Magrasso here. We've had some amazing guests like Russell Simmons, Ileana Douglas, and Craig Gass. Coolio, right?
Christian Blatt in the house to tell you to go to thetomorrowshow.com to check us out. We're live every Monday and Thursday from 10 to midnight Eastern. That's thetomorrowshow.com. Be there or be square, whatever that means.
Welcome back to Xpac12360, and joining us by phone right now is a guy who was on The Celebrity Apprentice this year, one of the most controversial figures in MMA, and the host of his own extremely successful podcast. You're welcome. Chael Sonnen, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, come on. All right. Chael, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm pretty sure everyone knows that this Saturday, I'm not sure what number Bellator it is, but it's coming to us live on Spike TV from Madison Square Garden, and you're fighting fighting Wanderlei Silva, and you guys have a lot of you guys kind of have had beef for a while, huh?
Oh, man, I've been, first off, great to hear your voice, by the way. Congrats on the success of the show. I've been wanting to come on this for a while, and frankly, I've kind of been wondering where the invite was, so I'm glad that things worked out for old Chael. But, I got Wanderlei Silva. I couldn't stand this guy from the day I met him, and he tries to make it like I'm wrong in the situation.
Yeah.
I try to make it like he's wrong. The reality is I'm sure there's plenty of blame to go around, but he and I just never got it right from the beginning. And we're finally going to get locked in a cage together Saturday. We're going to figure this thing out one way or the other.
Yeah, for sure. I know I saw the footage of you guys in the van, and he was giving you shit, talking about how you were putting down Brazil and how you could lose your teeth and all that. Man, I could see you right there. As soon as he said that, I could see the look in your eyes just switch.
It was really infuriating. He jumps in that van, and I thought it was cool in the gang. I mean, we've been hanging out a little bit. We'd even sparred together some. We were having a perfectly nice day, and he's got a cameraman with him, his own cameraman that he's paying, and all of a sudden he flips the green button and decides to tell me off. And I just thought, well, that was a little weird. I mean, we've been together the whole day.
Right.
Why did you just wait now to start garbling at me about something he wasn't even involved in? It was between me and Anderson Silva, and somehow he tried to insert himself in it, it was just lowbrow. I mean, that was some cheap heat. He went for a cheap pop.
Yeah, and I think it's
with a smart mark.
And I think it's one of those things where, these days, if it's not on camera, it didn't happen, right? So he's probably like, well, let me get this on camera. If I'm going to say something to him, I want it on camera.
No, I think that's right. I couldn't help but think it was a little lowbrow to hire your own cameraman.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was something big enough going on, somebody else would film it. You didn't really need to bring a videographer with you. But
And it's not.
I can't even remember where the bad blood started. But it goes back so long, Pac. It goes back to 2001. I've been trying to get a hold of this guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like I don't know. It's you guys have a lot of interest in the fight, man, because of that. So I mean, for that, it's good.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think in that regard, there's not very many grudges out there, and nothing is as big as a grudge match. I'm a fan. I speak to you as a fan. When two guys really want to fight, I want to see it. When a promoter makes two guys fight, I'm a fan. I'll tune in, but it's not the same. It's not the same as when I know two guys really don't like each other, and I've never really been in this spot. I can't remember a time in my career. I had my first fight in 1997.
Right.
I can't remember a time in my career where, I didn't like the. Find out. That I didn't like a guy. Hey, Pac, I have to apologize to your listeners. Let them in on one thing. I'm on the streets of New York City, so there's some hustle and there's some bustle and there's some horns going on. You got to forgive me.
Don't even worry, man. Don't even worry.
You're gonna have fans stopping you soon, taking pictures, wanting to hear.
All right,
I turned my back a couple of times to avoid some of those, and I felt like a real jerk doing it, but I didn't know what else to do.
All right, Chael.
So I'm doing like a little happy dance out here in the street.
All right, Chael, this is TK calling, or TK here, fellow Oregon Duck, so I'm very excited. That's why I know you're going to win this fight. But I do have a quick question. Who do you think is going to win between Mayweather and McGregor?
Oh, I can tell you who better win. I mean, Mayweather better win, and he better do it really quickly and really dominantly. You've got a guy who's never lost at boxing against a guy who has never boxed. If this story ends any other way than absolute destruction, the entire integrity of the sport of boxing takes a huge blow, and they cannot afford that right now.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think it's going to go like at least 3-4 rounds, though?
I can just tell you that it better not. But I'm a guy that respects boxing. I used to be an amateur boxer. I think that there really is skill to it. I think footwork and speed and combinations and timing does matter. But I have been stunned to find out how many people don't. How many people think that it's just two guys in pretty good shape throwing punches at one another. I mean, you've got people from the boxing community now already feathering the nest for Floyd's fall and saying this is going to go 12 rounds. You've got some boxing trainers and participants saying that Conor's going to beat him.
Wow.
I can tell you, as an amateur wrestler, you could bring in any athlete you wanted. I wouldn't care how good he could be a 5-time world champion in some sort. You could bring in LeBron James, a great athlete. If he took on our best wrestler named David Taylor, that match would not last 30 seconds.
Right.
If you've never done it before, you better not be able to do it very well.
Sure. And it just seems to me, Chael, like, okay, a boxer has a lot better chance of stepping into an octagon or a cage and fighting an MMA guy than an MMA guy does getting in the boxing ring, putting on a pair of gloves, and just boxing.
Yeah, I think that's right. In boxing, it is a little bit more simple. Now, I still am a believer that it is a pure sport and that it is a real thing, regardless of what public opinion is. I'm a believer of that. But to your point, there is only two things you can do at boxing. You got a right hand and a left hand. You can only attack the body. You can only attack the head. So, it does give you a couple more options, whereas MMA is so wide open. The learning curve is just much, much longer.
Well, this is James here, or Jimbo. So in boxing, what's the ounces of the glove that you wear compared to UFC? I think UFC is like a 3-ounce glove. Is that factored in?
Yeah, 4 ounce, but yes.
Is that a big deal for this fight? Do you think that hinders McGregor or that helps McGregor in his situation? Because he's known to hit hard.
When I first saw this, so Floyd, he most definitely does not hit harder. And there is no punch from a jab to a cross to a hook to an uppercut, which are the only 4 legal blows you can land. None of those does he hit even close to as hard as Floyd Mayweather. The misconception there is because Conor's been knocking guys out and Floyd hasn't. What people are missing in their analytics is Floyd is throwing punches at guys who have been trained since they were 7 years old to roll with, avoid, flip, and deal with punches. Conor's throwing them at an MMA guy like myself. That's not what we do. We do some of that, but then we got to spend 20% of our time on our kicks and 20% of our time on our conditioning and 20% of time on our wrestling. So, it's just not what we do. So the analytics on that are way, way off. Conor McGregor cannot hit as hard as Floyd. I'm Team Conor. I'm an MMA guy, but I'm just telling you straight, he cannot hit harder than Floyd Mayweather in any legal punch.
Chael, this fight between those two is going to put a ton of money in these guys' pockets and the promoters. But I mean, what's going to be the fallout from this? Like, I mean, don't you think it's going to really hurt like everything overall besides these guys' pocketbooks?
Well, I don't think so. I have heard a little talk on that, Pac. I mean, here's the deal. Like Oscar De La Hoya is on this anti Conor McGregor tour right now, and he's saying it hurts the boxing community. And I'm kind of scratching my head and going, Oscar, you guys don't have a community. I am an amateur boxer. I had aspirations of being on the 2000 Olympic team. I will be the first to tell you, there's no such thing as a boxing fan. I was 28 years old when I met my first boxer. There's not one of your listeners right now that's ever boxed before, and I can even remove it one step further, Pac. Not one of your listeners right now knows a boxer. And some of us go, sure, Mike Tyson. No. You tell me one guy in your junior high, your high school, one guy in your neighborhood, one guy in your family that ever actually put on the gloves and got in the ring on Saturday. And I could go a step further. There's not one of your listeners that could tell me where their local boxing gym is. I could go a step further. There's not one of your listeners that could tell me where you could go to buy boxing equipment. Wow. They don't even know the store that sells the gloves and the mouthpieces. It is a fringe sport at best. If you want to be a top 10 boxer in the world right now, raise your hand because there's not 10 other guys doing it, and that's the reality.
Are there any
people talk about you're going to hurt the sport of boxing? What sport?
Are there any boxers besides Floyd Mayweather today? Maybe Pacquiao, but that are household names? None, right?
Yeah, there's none. They got a guy named Joshua that just beat Klitschko, and I would consider Klitschko a household name, at least for me.
Right.
Man, I didn't know who Joshua was. I didn't know if he's a white guy, a black guy, a British guy, a Cuban guy. I had the foggiest idea, and that's not to speak against his skill set. That guy's a stud. It's just we don't hear a lot about it anymore. I mean, even Klitschko, heavyweight champion, he's selling out arenas, but it's in Germany. He can't sell anything in America. So North America, we've really dropped the ball as of late.
Yeah, and to me, like the only place that boxing is still really alive is like Mexico.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's big in Mexico. I even hear that it is okay in Ireland, but by okay, I'm talking about a huge fight would draw about 4,500 people. And I love the sport. This isn't to degrade the sport. It's just this is a reality. I was an amateur wrestler too. I know what it's like. We worked hard twice a day, every day to wrestle in front of 80 people on Saturday night. It's just what it is. A lot of people just don't want to see it. But when I do hear about what's good for the sport, it doesn't help either sport. There is no sport. It's simply what's good for business. And this fight is great for business.
Sure. I was just wondering, like, okay, after the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, I think that kind of really like put a damper on things, and I was just wondering if you thought that. But those were two boxers, though. Yeah. So I mean, this is a spectacle. Yeah. This isn't a boxing match. This is a spectacle.
I think that was the next step. Was that Mayweather Pacquiao fight was a dream match?
Right. It is a spectacle.
Yeah, it is. But Chael, tell me about how you're doing right now. You've been training hard. I'm assuming it wasn't that long ago since your fight with Tito. So you must still be in shape from that fight.
Only a few months.
You were at that
It was only a few months. And, Pac, I can tell you, I went crazy after that fight. I absolutely went crazy. I've never trained so hard. I've never felt so good. And that was just kind of the motivation I needed. And I really hate when guys say, it's the best thing that ever happened to me when it was something terrible.
Right.
But in this case, why would nobody tell me you guys were in a fucking car? You didn't go fucking black window?
New York City, ladies and gentlemen.
Apparently there was a nice quiet car waiting here the whole time as I was just standing on the streets out there, but nobody thought they should tell me. Yeah, I could have been in a car conducting this interview like a professional instead of standing on the street like a doofus. But there you go.
So what did you focus on after this Tito fight to be prepared for Wanderlei?
It was just more a motivation thing. I haven't been a motivated athlete in over 10 years. I've just been a disciplined athlete. I go to practice when I'm supposed to go. I do what's asked of me, but I never wanted to be there. It was just part of the process, and you can't control that. I hear coaches tell athletes all the time, you got to want it. You got to have desire. I pull those coaches aside and say, you got to be real careful with that because that's not something they can control. They can only control getting in the car, getting their gear changed, and doing what's asked of them. They can't control how bad they want it. That's not a human emotion that we can handle. But I have got remotivated for my first time in a decade, and it just makes it a little easier. The practices are the same. I got to do the same thing. It just changes when that clock ticks 3 o'clock, and I got to get in the car and head out the door. It just makes it a little easier.
Hey, when the Mitrione and Fedor fight fell through a little while back, you were ready to jump right in that fight and fight Fedor. Hello?
Guys, will you ask that one more time?
Yeah,
my mother interrupted me. My mother's 70 and she's trying to kick heroin again. So I've got to deal with.
Have her give me a call. I can tell her how to do that. So, anyways, I have personal experience.
Xpac actually supports your decision.
No, what I was saying, Chael, is when the Mitrione Fedor fight fell through the first time, you were there ready to step in and fight Fedor at a moment's notice. I thought that was amazing.
Oh, I was begging them. I was begging them. Again, that came off the heels of being embarrassed by the worst fighter in the sport. And, I just wanted to get back in there so bad. And I don't know why that didn't happen. I mean, I was there. He was there. I was licensed. He was licensed. He was clean. He could pass the test. I could basically pass the test. I mean, I thought that they should make the match.
What do you mean by basically pass the test? What does that mean?
Well, fairly. Like, I don't want to be judged like everybody else. I don't want, like nothing in my system. I want to be judged more of like on a curve. Like last time it was 7 things. I think like 2 or 3 is probably the sweet spot.
Oh, right on.
Hey, Chael, this is Denise. Nice to meet you. So I wanted
Pleasure to be met.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, you're fighting at 205 pounds. After this, are you going to go back down to 185?
I don't think so. I like to stay at 205, and then over in Bellator, they even do a lot of catchweight fights.
Nice.
King Mo just fought Rampage at a catchweight fight. I just want to fight where there's, wherever there's opportunity. And that might mean going down to 185, but I haven't heard any talks of that, and I'm definitely not going to volunteer for it.
Are you only just looking to Saturday, your fight against Wanderlei, or are you looking past that at all to who you might want to fight after that?
No, I'm just looking at Wanderlei right now,
Okay.
but the division is so open. And again, to come back to the last question, there is different weight classes. There's just different opportunities. I think I got brought over to Bellator to be a 185-pounder, but I haven't fought in that division yet. So I hear talks about Fedor, and that's moving up to heavyweight. So I guess it's just a situation of keeping options open right now.
And also, how do you think Mitrione's going to do in there against Fedor?
I think Mitrione's going to do real well. Fedor's up and down, and all those guys that made their careers in Japan, you never know what you were seeing. That referee had an earpiece in, and there was somebody telling him what to do when that fight was supposed to be over. So you never knew really what you were getting in Japan.
You damn
when
right
Fedor's
you
been
did.
in America, he's got when he's in America, his record's 3-3. And it's not to disparage him, but this is just the reality. Under sanctioned fights of competitive nature, he's batting 500. I think that Mitrione is got some big advantages, and size is one of them. The first time they were supposed to fight, they at least made it to the weigh-in, and Mitrione was 20 pounds bigger.
And
I think that could matter.
And I don't mean any offense by this if anyone takes any, but when you're fighting in Japan, there's no drug testing. Those guys can take whatever they want. And when you coming over here, it's a different story, man. And when you all of a sudden you used to being able to take stuff, and then you come and you got to cut that out cold turkey. God, geez, I can only imagine how that must affect somebody.
Well, and then rules.
Oh yeah, no, that the guys that came over, Wanderlei's one of them. He leaves Japan, he comes to America, all of a sudden he's the incredible shrinking man. I mean, you don't have to put on your Colombo rain jacket to figure out how that happened.
Just one more thing, sir.
Culture, though.
Yeah.
And as much as you say that, he wasn't even breaking the rules. There were no rules to break.
Exactly.
He didn't do a thing wrong.
Yeah, you could do damn near anything over there. Like, I remember the story of Shamrock and Don Fry fight. I heard that Don Fry had oxygen, was given oxygen in the corner in between rounds.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think that's genius.
I hadn't heard that, but that's amazing.
That's
if he pulled that
genius.
off.
I think that's great. If there's no rule against it, why not? It's called a competitive
Why
advantage.
wouldn't you?
Competitive advantage, not cheating.
No, that's right, and a little credit for his creativity on that as well.
Yeah. Hey, Chael, I remember when I was on your show the first time, we talked about the fact that you actually went to the power plant, WCW power plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
hard as hell, Pac. It was
Yeah.
hard as hell. I went for the tryout phase. They used to advertise that during Nitro. Hey, call this number if you want to be a pro wrestler. So I called it one day, and I told my dad, and he got me a ticket and sent me out there. It was right after my sophomore year of college. And it was just a tryout, though, and Sarge was still running it, and it was so hard. I was in great shape. I was an All-American that year. It's in great shape. I can only tell you how difficult this was. Only me and 2 other guys made it through. Everybody else was done in the very first day. But I don't even know how the other 2 guys made it through. It was so hard.
Yeah, I'm sure they had you do at least 500 squats right off the bat.
Oh, constantly. And then you want to know one of the things with the squats. This was Sarge's big deal. Is he turned a white 5-gallon bucket upside down, and he set that behind you. And every time you squatted, you had to throw your hands up, come up on your toes, but your butt had to hit that bucket. And the problem with that is you can't see the bucket, so you're just dropping all your weight onto it every time to make sure you don't get a miss. I mean, Sarge was so hard, and we respected him so much. We were going to hit that bucket. Well, over time, the lip of that bucket began cutting into my ass.
Brutal.
And I mean, of all the pains that I have, it was my poor ass running into that bucket all day long that hurt the most. It was very tough, man. I really respect the guys that come through that tryout process and the power plant as a whole. I mean, nobody really understands how hard pro wrestlers had to train. And I'll tell you another takeaway I had is they tore the ring down in front of me one night to take it over to a local regional show. That ring is made out of nothing but plywood and iron.
Yeah.
There was one little piece of like a carpet pad, but other than that, those guys are taking bumps on iron and plywood.
Oh yeah, and you know the thing about those, you know, the squats and the push-ups and all that, they work you until you're damn near dead, and then the old trick was once they get you that tired, then they get you in the ring, and then they have their way with you. Did they try to do that to you, Chael?
One guy did, and I didn't know the respect factor on it. Like I did not want to come in and puff up at all. There was one day when Sarge actually had us amateur wrestle, and these guys, I just finished an All-American season, and I didn't really know how to do it. Like they were above me, and I didn't want to come in and hurt anyone's feelings, but I'd never been trained in doing it other than the one way, which is as hard as I knew.
Right.
There was a guy out there named Prince Iakea. And I had accidentally caught him in a knee bar. And the second I did, I let it go. Well, he knew enough about grappling to know the position I had him in. And we finished the spot and everything. And he came back, and he'd already made it. He was doing good, and was doing some dark matches and even breaking into TV. And he came aside and really thanked me. Hey, thank you for stopping, and now I know I can trust you. I just thought that was a cool thing to do. Because I didn't belong there. That was his home. I didn't belong there. And he went out of his way to tell me thanks. I've always appreciated Prince Ikea to this day because of that.
Oh, yeah. So you didn't feel like that was like just a running guys off tactic that they pulled on you, just trying to get you to go away, get your money?
Well, there was a little bit of that, but I mean, they were pretty straight up front with us in the very beginning. They just said, this is really tough, and we have to know who wants it. And when we get you sore and we get you tired and give you an opportunity to quit, we need to know right now who's going to take that opportunity. And then they span that into other things, like life on the road and just, the bumps and the bruises you take, and can you move forward in spite of that? And, I mean, that was their theory behind it. And they got a pretty tough crew of guys out there. So if that's the way you got to go through to get it, then that's what you got to go through.
Yeah. So, Chael, it's still not too late, man. It's not too late for you to get into pro wrestling. I know you did that little thing at Global Force Wrestling in Vegas, and what was the deal with Phil Baroni?
I had so much fun doing that. I've never known what was up with Baroni. I talked to Jeff Jarrett on my own podcast, and I think he leaked something he didn't mean to, which meant the whole thing was set up. But he tried to tell me that Phil went off script and into business for himself. So I think Jeff stepped in it a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's the life of a worker, man. I got to respect it. Guys, this is so rude. I hate to jump on you, but I got to run. I got to promote this fight Saturday.
Hey, man, good luck on Saturday, Chael. I'll be in England, so I won't be able to see it live, but I'm wishing you the best, man. I have confidence and faith that you'll pull out the W against Wanderlei, man. Good luck, and thank you so much for coming on, Chael.
I appreciate you. Travel safe. Enjoy your time with with Officer Delgado.
Oh, yeah, you remember. I hope I don't run into him on the way back into the country. Damn, you got a good memory,
right.
Chael. Thank you, man.
See you guys.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
Chael.
Bye. All right.
Awesome.
Well, Anyway, hey, we'll come back in a little bit here. We're gonna take a real quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, Maria Menounos here. We want to let you know about my new show on SiriusXM Stars Channel 109. It's called Conversations with Maria, and it's live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Go to conversationswithmaria.com for more info. Buzz you later.
And we're back here on Xpac 12360. I want to thank my friend Chael Sonnen for coming on and talking about some things, including the fight coming up with Wanderlei Silva. And talking about the stuff at the power plant. I talked to Chael about that before on his show, and I just thought it was interesting that they tried to run him through like that, you know? So, anyways, like I said before, I'm getting on a plane in the morning, and hopefully
you'll leave for England in the morning.
Yep.
You'll be at Tribute to the Troops for Preston City Wrestling.
Yep, PCW.
You can go to www.britwrestling.com. There are a few tickets left. You'll be in a 6-man tag there.
Yep.
And then following week after that, we got Get High Watch Wrestling 3 at the Largo in Los Angeles. Tickets are still available. Go to ronfunches.com for those. It's June 29th at 9:30.
Yes.
And then July 8th, you have an appearance at the Wrestling Guy store in Huntington Park, California. You'll be doing signings and pictures and possibly a podcast.
Yes, if we can get that done before I have to get on a plane that evening and fly to Texas, that would be great. I would love to do a live live show from there, from the Wrestling Guy store. Yeah. Oh man, now I just forgot something I was going to say. Oh, damn it. Oh well, it must not have been that important.
You could always tweet about it later.
Yeah.
Was it about the Wrestling Guy store signing?
Oh, I was just gonna say about the Get High Watch Wrestling show with Ron. We changed the venue to the Largo, and that's over on La Cienega. Not that far. I don't think it's that far from the other venue.
Largo's a much more comfortable venue than
yeah, that's from what it's a tad bit bigger.
Yeah,
and so we were kind of busting out of the other venue anyways. It was sold out the last 2 times. I think we turned people away, but I'm pretty sure we congratulated John Morrison and Taya Forster on their engagement, and not going to hold them to it, but I'm pretty sure they said they were coming.
Yeah, I believe both of them will be there.
Yes, to celebrate their engagement with us.
I think Pentagon and Phoenix might be there as
well.
well.
That would be amazing.
So
yeah,
definitely come check it out.
Yes, I'm coming.
And also, I'm from what I hear, the Lucas brothers are going to be there. They're going to be the special guests.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, big fans of the Lucas brothers. I was on a show called Friends of the People with them. We did a little skit, just a little skit on there. It was fun. And they have Lucas Brothers Moving Company, which is an animated series.
That's amazing.
Anyways, they're big lovers of pro wrestling, so really hoping to see them, and hoping to see everyone else that's in listening, viewing distance. That's listening or watching right now. I hope to see you if you're in the SoCal area next Thursday. And what else, Jimbo?
That's all.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Those 3 are your upcoming events that we got going on right now.
Cool. Anything from you, Bill? What's going on with Spandex?
Just still plugging along like always.
Yeah.
We're gonna have this week, end of this week, we're gonna have our WCW Nitro recap, a retro recap that you are gonna be have a match in there
about,
so you can read about a very interesting maneuver that you came up with for that match. Just plugging away. We put out our mini documentary and our long form about Glacier.
It was great. It was an excellent piece that you guys did. And I was very happy to spread the word on that.
Yeah,
very cool.
He's one of Brandon Stroud's all-time favorite wrestlers, and it really shows in the long form. We spent a lot of time working on it and working on the video, and we're really happy with how it came out, and we're happy to now be friends with Ray Lloyd, who's one of the nicest, most genuine people you'll ever meet.
Always. I mean, the number one thing I think about when I think of Ray is just such a nice. Not that nothing against any of his wrestling skills. He was very, very solid wrestler, but just so nice, so freaking nice. I mean, that sticks out in in my mind.
Yeah,
I think that's a good thing to think about, like when you think of somebody.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was weird. All the people we talked to, it seemed like a third of the people that actually were in the same company as him never interacted with him or didn't have anything to say about him because they didn't know him that well. Everyone else loved that guy to death. Go to the ends of the world for that guy.
Well, you know, like in WCW, there was a kind of a separation a little bit. Like certain guys dressed in a certain dressing room.
Sure.
Like, for instance, I'm going to tell you, when I went to WCW for my tryout, and it was at Center Stage, there was 2 dressing rooms. One for the guys that were, like, you know, getting a push or full-time guys, and the other for, like, underneath guys and, like, you know, enhancement talent. Mm-hmm. And so when I got there, I went right into the dressing room and put my shit down where, you know, where the top guys were. And everyone was looking at me like, who the hell are you? I didn't care. You know, and you know, like the guy that stood out to me that was nice to me there was Ron Simmons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I never forgot that.
Yeah.
And we had, you know, obviously later on we developed a friendship and all that. That's for another time. I'd like to get Ron on the show.
Well, you can check out everything at withspandex.com and upworks.com/pro wrestling, and you can follow me on Twitter at Sundown Motel.
Sundown Motel. I love. Tell me about that. Why? Why Sundown Motel?
Okay. Sundown Motel. There's a band that I really loved, that I still love, but that I really loved when they were around, called Stavesacre. I have a Stavesacre tattoo right here on my elbow. Super into them, and I was listening to one of their albums that there's one album of theirs that I've written probably 4 different screenplays to just put it on right. There's a few albums that I have that are just like, I've created so much while listening to it, and the second or third track on the album is called Sundown Motel.
Okay.
And I needed a name for a handle back in the AOL Instant Messenger days. So I picked Sundown Motel, and I just kept using that name everywhere I went.
It's crazy because I was going to ask you if you got that Twitter handle from that song Sundown Motel.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Never heard of it.
At this point, it's just I've been using it so long. It's just my personal brand.
I just think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, thank you.
I could have asked you that off air, but I don't know. I just felt like everyone should know.
Now it's on the record.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Unless we cut it out.
So, anyways, hey, I appreciate everyone for joining us this week, and we'll see you all next week right here on Xpac 12360.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Jimbo Frank and TK Trinidad, managing producer of AfterBuzz TV Wrestling Mark Donica, and the entire Xpac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow Xpac on Twitter at TheRealXpac, and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com. This has been a presentation of the AfterBuzz TV Network. Buzz you later!